Imagine living in a world where every word you speak, every step you take, and every flicker of emotion on your face is watched and judged. Where history can be rewritten overnight, and truth is whatever the rulers decide it is today. You might think that's science fiction. George Orwell thought it was a warning. Published in 1949, Orwell's 1984 drops us into the grim reality of Oceania, a totalitarian state where the government, known only as the party, holds absolute power under the ever-watchful gaze of Big Brother. In this world, privacy doesn't exist. Your neighbors, co-workers, and even your children might report you for the crime of thinking the wrong thoughts. They call it thought crime, and the punishment is severe. Our guide through this suffocating society is Winston Smith, a quiet, middle-aged man who works at the Ministry of Truth. His job is to destroy truth itself. He rewrites old newspaper articles so the party's version of history is always correct. If the party says they've always been at war with East Asia, Winston edits the archives to make that true, even if just yesterday they were at war with Eurasia. In Oceania, facts are not fixed. They are whatever the party says they are. On the surface, Winston seems obedient, but inside he carries a deep sense of unease. He knows something is wrong. The lies, the constant surveillance, the crushing of individuality, he can see it all. But in a world like this, knowing is dangerous. Acting on it is almost suicidal. And yet, change begins with the smallest spark. That spark arrives in the form of Julia, a young woman who works in the fiction department. On paper, she's the perfect citizen, but in secret she despises the party as much as Winston does. She slips him a note with 3 simple words, "I love you." It's a dangerous declaration in a world where love itself is rebellion. Their relationship begins in secret, hidden from the telescreens and the eyes of informants. They meet in the countryside, in rented rooms above dusty shops, wherever they can find a corner of the world that the party doesn't see. For them, every kiss, every whispered conversation is a protest. It's not just about passion, it's about reclaiming their humanity in a system that wants to strip it away. They begin to dream of a different future, one where Big Brother isn't watching. And then they meet O'Brien, a member of the inner party who hints that he's part of a resistance movement. He talks of overthrowing the regime, of a group called the Brotherhood. Winston and Julia believe they've found an ally, someone who shares their dangerous hope. But in Orwell's world, hope is the most dangerous illusion. O'Brien is no rebel. He is a loyal servant of the party. The entire resistance was a trap designed to lure out traitors. Winston and Julia are arrested, dragged to the Ministry of Love, a place where the only thing they love is the party's control, and subjected to relentless torture. O'Brien himself becomes Winston's tormentor. He explains that the party doesn't just want obedience, it wants absolute control over reality. They want to dictate not just what people do, but what they think. "We make the laws of nature," O'Brien says. "If we say 2 + 2 = 5, then it is 5. The goal is not merely to crush rebellion, it's to eliminate even the possibility of rebellion by controlling the mind." Winston resists as long as he can, but the party knows everyone's deepest fear. For him, it's rats. In the infamous Room 101, O'Brien straps a cage of ravenous rats to Winston's face. In that moment of pure terror, Winston's will collapses. He screams for Julia to be punished instead of him. His betrayal is complete. When we see Winston again, he's a hollow shell of the man we met at the start. He sits in a cafe, drinking cheap gin, his rebellious thoughts erased. He no longer loves Julia. He loves Big Brother. It's a bleak ending, but Orwell wasn't writing for comfort, he was writing a warning. And that warning made governments nervous. In the United States during the Cold War, 1984 was challenged for being pro-communist because it criticized authoritarian control, which some saw as an attack on capitalism. In the Soviet Union, it was banned outright for being anti-communist. Even in other countries, it faced removal from schools for sexual content, political themes, and its hopeless conclusion. That's the irony of 1984, both sides of the political spectrum tried to suppress it for opposite reasons. The reason it's still read today is that the danger Orwell described hasn't disappeared. If anything, it has evolved. The world of 1984 isn't about one ideology, it's about the universal threat of unchecked power. Terms like Big Brother, doublethink, and thought crime have entered everyday language because they describe real patterns we can observe around us. Think about mass surveillance, the harvesting of personal data, the spread of misinformation, the rewriting of history to suit political agendas. These are not relics of the past. Orwell's future is uncomfortably close to our present. For me, what makes 1984 unforgettable isn't just its political message, it's how it shows that control over people begins with control over truth. Winston's final defeat isn't when he's captured or tortured, it's when he believes that 2 + 2 can equal 5. When your mind accepts the lie, your freedom is already gone. So the question Orwell leaves us with is simple but chilling: if truth can be bent, how do we know when we're free?